Yeah, hello everyone, and welcome back. So today we are going to discuss the interview questions on Java. So there was a walking drive happened for Cognizant organization, and there I received uh, these interview questions for the Java profile from multiple candidate. And yeah, so actually I got there were lots of questions I received from the different candidate. And so I'm trying to create a series in which I will try to explain all the interview questions which was asked in that particular interview. And in this part I have added all the questions and which are shared by multiple candidates. Okay. Yeah. So guys, let's start our interview questions and answer for the Java profile for freshers. Yeah. So mostly in every interview, first they start with tell me about yourself, so that the interviewer wants to know about them, and also they want to check the communication is happening with the candidate. Yeah, and after that they directly see the resume, and then they see that which technology you have added in your resume, and according to that they start the resume. Yeah, so as this was for the Java profile, so mostly they focus on the core Java, and this was the first round for this. Yeah, so the first question the candidate got in this walking drive is what is the static keyword in Java? So in Java, the static keyword is used to indicate that a member or variable, methods, block, or nested class belongs to the class itself rather than it instance of a class. So basically in Java, so there are two things. One is class label and one is object label. So static keyword refers to the class label, right? Where we can assign this member where we can assign these static keywords to the variable, or to the methods, or to the blocks, or maybe to the nested classes also, right? So when something is declared static, okay, so when we are declaring any variable, any method, block, or nested class as a static, it says that this is shared across all the instance of the class. Okay, it means it is a means if you want to keep any common data and you want to share that data among the other class, means for that classes, then means yeah, I mean that for all the instances of that class, then you can use a static keyword for that variable, so it will be shared among all the instances. The second point, it exists independently for any object of a class. It means it will be there independently for any object for which you have shared with the static variable. Okay, and it is loaded into the memory once when the class is loaded first. So also, I mean, the interview can ask one more question, that when static keyword variable will get load. So this will so the variable with the marked static will be load only one time, and only when the class is loaded first time. After that the static will not get load, right? Yeah, so this is the way you can explain and you can pass this information. So the next question I received was, where can static be used? Now this is the important question, because static is a keyword, and in a Java, in a class, you can use this static keyword into the multiple places. For example, you can use static keyword with a variable. Okay, so here you can see in the table with the static int count 0. So like that we use. So this is the count variable of integer type, and we have marked this with a static keyword. It means this so this variable will be shared across all the objects. Okay, and now again you can use this static keyword with a method, and this is the syntax, like static void greet. So this greet is a method of return type as a void, and where we are marking this method as a static, then it means it can be called without an object name. It means that if we want to call any method in a Java, then first we need to create the object of that particular class, right? but if you want to access that particular method without the object name or without the creation of the object for that particular class, then you can use, if that method is marked as a static, then directly you can use class name dot method name. For example, in this case, if the method name is like hello, and you are using if the class name is hello, and inside that class name, if greet is a method, then if you mark that greet method with a static keyword, then you can use hello dot greet to call this method. So here you don't need or require to create the hello class object, right? So the third place we can use as a static block. So this is the syntax where static and then like curly braces, and inside this curly braces you can write your logic or like initializer, right? So this static block can run only once when the class will load. Okay, so at the loading time, this static block will be run. So mostly we pass any initialization logic which is required at the time of class loading. So this type of functionality we used into a static block. Now next is, we can use this static keyword with a class, and this is the syntax: static class helper. Let's say helper is a class, then we are marking this class with a static. So what it means, means that this is a nested class, and the nested class means a class inside a class. Okay, so this is used for nested class inside another class, right? So these are the some places where you can use a static keyword in Java. Okay, and also I've explained you that what it means if you use static keyword into the different portions of your Java class. Now, okay, for example, I have something to show. Let me drive you to this static demo. Okay, yeah, so this is a static demo class where this is a static variable with the name organization name, because we have marked this with a static keyword, and this is an instance variable because you can see I have not marked this with a static keyword. Now we have a static block. Okay, you can see static word and the block, and also we have some constructor for this static demo class where we are just initializing, okay, or allocating the value to this variable of this class for employee name variable, right? And also we have a method with the static. So this is a static method basically, and here we have system.out.print, and this is an instance method because we have not marked this method with a static keyword. And the other, this is a nested yeah, so this is a nested static class because you can see this class utility is inside and class static demo, right? So this is a nested class, yeah, this is a static nested class basically. Okay, so which contains again a static method. All right, so this is my main method. Now I am calling, so how to call this? You can see this show organization is a variable. Okay, but here you can see, but this is a static variable, right? So as I described earlier, that is static, if you are using a variable with a static keyword, then it is not required actually to call with the method with the object name. So we can call with the class name dot that variable or any method. So here so organization is also a method, so which we can call directly, static method, so we can call directly with the name of the class dot this method name here. Okay, and now how to call this method, the greet method, inside a nested utility static class? This can be called by the first the class name, the upper class name, and then the nested class name dot the method name. By this way we can call. So here also you can see we doesn't required to create the object of utility class. We are directly calling the method with the name of this class. And third, we created one object with the static for static demo, and then we are calling so employee method. Okay, so these are the certain ways where you can do. Okay, and again, like we are creating one more static demo, and then we are creating the so employee, right? And here this is a constructor where we are passing this name, so it will set the name. So let me run, and then let me show you the output. So here you can see the output. Okay, yeah, yeah. So this is yeah, so my like motive was to show you how we write or how we use this static keyword in this Java class, right? Okay, so we will move to our next question, that where can static be used? Okay, yeah. So like already, I think we have discussed this. So static variable as a class variable, these are shared variable that belongs to the class rather than any object, right? So here you can see that we are using this employee class is there. In that we have an employee count variable which is of static kind. So this employee count value will be shared across all the employee object. All right, so every time a new employee is created, employee count is incremented and the same value is shared across all the instances, right? Yeah. So next place is static method. So yeah, so this also we discussed already. So static methods can be called without creating an object, can only access another other static members directly, and cannot be used this or super inside a static method. So this is very important point for a static method, that without getting object we can call, okay, with the just a class name, if any method is declared as a static, and also can only access other static member directly, right? Cannot use this or super inside a static method. So if we have a static method, then we cannot use this or super keyword. So this is also very important, that sometimes the interviewer write a normal Java class and then they create a static method, and inside that static method they try to use this or super, but that is not possible. All right, yeah. So yeah, like this you can see here we have a square method which we are calling with the class name mathUtils.square, right? And here we have not created the object of method util to access a square method, right? Now the third is static block. So this is also called as a static initializer, right? So this is used for a static initialization of a complex logic. Basically, if you want to initialize something for your code, then you can go with the static block, so that at the time of class loading it will run or execute only one time. It means it can initiate your or any initialization logic for that application, right? And this will be called only once when the class is loaded. The next is a static nested class. So you can see there is an outer class, then inner class. In the inner class, we have a show method. So how to invoke this? Okay, so here so here you can see there is a outer class and the inner class, right? So outer class is the parent, or you can say outer class only, and the inner class is the nested class, right? So you can call with the class name outer dot inner dot show, like this. Okay, and how to create the object? The in the similar manner you can create like outer dot inner, and then new outer dot inner. Okay, and then you can use with the object. So there are like two possibilities. You can use class name also to invoke this show method, or you can create the object of this inner class. But for the object of the inner class, first you have to access the outer class, and with that outer class access you have to call the inner, and then you have to create the object of this inner class, right? Yeah. So the third question was how to call one constructor from another constructor. This is also very important when you go for a fresher level of interview, because these are basic concept which every like developer should know. So in Java, you can call one constructor from another constructor within the same class using the keyword this. So this keyword is very important, and this is the syntax for using the this. So this must always be the first statement in the constructor when used. So basically, this because inside a constructor, this should be the first first I mean the statement. If you put this into the second statement of a constructor, then there will be compile time error. Okay, so what is the rule? So this can only be used inside a constructor. Okay, this is the first rule. Second rule, it must be first statement in the constructor. If you try to put this into the other part of your Java class, then it may provide compile time error. Or if it is like second statement or the third statement in a constructor, then again it will provide compile time error. So constructor chaining helps reduce code duplication. So basically we can use this keyword for in a constructor chaining. So constructor chaining is a term which is also asked in interview, that what is constructor chaining. So constructor chaining is a way by which we call constructor one after the another. Okay, so it is forming a chain of calling the constructor. Okay, so this is the constructor chaining. So it helps to do a constructor chaining so that it can reduce the code duplication, right? Okay, so for this I have one example to show. So this is a constructor chaining. Okay, in this constructor chaining yeah, so like in this constructor chaining name class, we have a name and a age as a property, and this is the constructor, right? So this is one construct. So this is basically a default constructor because we are not passing any argument. And now here we have a second constructor, which is a parametric constructor, because we are passing some parameter. And here you can see we are passing name and integer. And there is a show method, and then this is a main method. So in the default constructor, we are using this keyword. You can see, right? And if I try to put this, okay, let me show you. Yeah, so you see, if I try to put this keyword to the second statement inside a constructor, then you can see we are getting a compile time error, says constructor call must be the first statement in a constructor, right? Yeah, so this, if you're using this keyword, then you have to keep in mind that it should be the first statement in the constructor. And this keyword can be used for calling another constructor. Here you can see we are calling parametric constructor, that is a second constructor, and here we need to pass the parameters like name and age value. So how it will get invoked? So in the main method, when we are creating the object of this constructor chaining class, and then we are trying to call this show method. Okay, so at the time of constructor calling, first the default yeah, so at the time of object creation, basically in line number 25, first it will try to call the default constructor of this class. So this is a default constructor. So as it goes inside, it will see that there is a this keyword has been used. So it will stop the execution of default. It will call this keyword, and here it will call, so it will check if there is a parametric constructor. So here you can see there is a parametric constructor with the parameter name and age, so it will call this, and now this will get execute. Okay, first it will print parameterized constructor called, and then it will initialize name and age to these variables, right? And then it will go back again to the default constructor, and then it will print default constructor called, and then again it will call the show method like p1 dot. Yeah, so if you are doing p1 dot show, then it will call show method, right? Yeah, so in this manner it works. So let me show you the output so that you can relate this and you will get a better understanding. So you see, first the parameterized constructor called. Anyhow, the first default constructor were called by the JVM, but still in the output we are getting parametric constructor called output first, and then we are getting the output default constructor called. Why? Because here we are using this keyword. So as it is this, then the movement goes to this second constructor, and it execute the whole logic of this second constructor where we are printing parameterized constructor called, and then it again goes back to the default constructor, and then it's print this, right? Yeah, so in this manner it works. And then called the show method. So in the show method we are just printing name and age, right? And again in the similar manner for the second. Yeah, now we are again creating the object of this constructor chaining class, but now we are not calling the a default constructor, but we are calling the parametric constructor directly. So it will not call the default, but it will call the parametric. Okay, so this will go to the second constructor at the time of creating the object for this line 28, and now it will print parametric constructor call directly. Okay, it will not execute default constructor because we are not using any this keyword here, right? And you can see we got parametric constructor and then so. Okay, because we're calling so. Now the thing is that if you want to execute now, so there is if you this, so there is one more thing, let me explain you. If you add this, then what happens here? You see, if I add this, then it will go into the recursion, because from from the default constructor we are calling the parametric constructor with the two parameters here, and again from the two parameter constructor, I mean the second constructor, we are calling the first default constructor, right? So it means it will go to the recursion, and here we will get a compile time error. And the error you can see, recursive constructor invocation constructor chaining. So this can be the also the one of the questions here. The interviewer can write this code, and here they will use this two times. So here you have to identify what is the problem with this code. So problem is that we cannot use this yeah, I mean that we cannot call here this because it will form a recursion. Okay, I mean it will go to the loop, right? Yeah, so this is the way you have to answer. Now let's move to the next question. So next was, what is the super keyword in Java? Okay, so this is also very important. So like the this keyword is used to call the constructor of the same class, right? But super keyword is used to call or to refer the immediate parent class of the current object. Okay, so it serves multiple purpose in inheritance, making it easy to access overridden method, constructors, and parent class field. Basically, super keyword is used with the inheritance class concepts, and it is used to call the overridden methods, constructors, and the parent class fields. Okay, yes, all this concept we will see in an example, so you will get a better understanding of this. First, let's discuss about this table. So where we can use the super keyword in Java class, you can use this super keyword with a variable. If you're using with a variable, it means it is trying to access the parent class variable, like super dot variable, and then super keyword you can use with the method. Okay, so it means it is trying to access the parent class method, and again directly super. Okay, with this method, I mean with this parameter, parameter, yeah. So it will call parent class constructor. Okay, so this super will call the parent class constructor. Give me a moment. Yeah, so this one will call the parent class constructor, this will call the parent class method, and this super dot variable will call the parent class variable. So here the one important rule you have to take care is that super must be the first statement in the constructor, right? You cannot call super Java implicitly insert it if the parent has no argument constructor. It means, let's say that if you are calling this super, I mean the third super, this one, so you cannot use this if a parent has no arg constructor. Okay, if the parent has no arg means Java implicitly insert it. Okay, so you cannot call it. Okay, yeah, yeah, so like what I mean, so I will show you in an example, then you will get the point. So the third rule is that can only be used in non-static context because it refers to an object. So this supers this way to access can be used only in the non-static context. Okay. Okay, so what we will do, we will try to see one example. There is an example with the class. There is a class with the name animal super keyword demo. Okay, and there is an animal variable name property of this class with the animal value. So this is our parent constructor. Okay, and then we have one method. Now I will inherit this class into a child that is a dog. Dog extend this, so dog is my child class now. And again we have one name with the value dog. Now this is a child class constructor, right, where we are using super. Now the first point is discussed that this should be the first statement. If I put any statement here, if I put like any statement here, then again you can see you are getting a compile time error says constructor call must be the first statement in a constructor, right? So super keyword should be the first statement inside a constructor. It means if you are using this, so can we use? No, because this and super cannot be used. Why? Because either can be the first, right? So either we can use this or super into a constructor, because both should be the first statement. So if we use this, then super will be go to the second. If we use super as a first statement, then this will go as a second statement. So this is not possible in Java for now. Okay, yeah. So dog has a constructor which is calling the super keyword. It means it is calling the parent class default constructor. It means this one. All right. And then we have a speak method in an child class, and then it is calling the parent class this speak method. How? With the super dot speak. Okay, so already I've means explained this, that to call a parent class method we can use super dot parent class method name. Now we have a show name method simply. So we have a super demo one more class in which we have main method, and then we are creating the child class object. And with this child class object we are trying to access the method d.speak. So what is happening? D.speak means here it is going to the super.speak. So it means speak will be taken from the parent class. It will call the parent class because we are asking to call to the parent speak method. All right, because we are using super dot speak here in the speak method of child class, right? Yeah, and again in the show names, let me see. In the show name we are just printing. So let me run this and then we will see the output. Okay, you see first animal constructor called because we created the object of this child class. So as we create the object of this child class with the default constructor here, so it calls the default constructor, and in the default constructor it has a super keyword. It means it is trying to call the parent default constructor. So parent default constructor is this. That's why it first printed animal constructor called. Then second again it comes back to the child class constructor, and then it prints dog constructor called. Now it says calling overridden method, and then it says d.speak. So speak d.speak means it will call the speak method of dog class, which has in 13th line super dot speak. So before executing the logic of this speak method of dog class, it will execute the speak method of parent class. Okay, so in the parent class we have this animal speak, so that's why we got animal speaks, and then it comes back and execute the next line in the speak method of dog class. So it's a dog barks. Okay, so similar manner here, accessing parent and child variable. Now in the show name, you can see we are just accessing name of this dog class. So that's why it came dog. But in the line 37, we are trying to access the name variable of parent class. So that's why super dot name. Okay, so it gives animal, right? Yeah, so in this way you can see how we can use the super keyword into the different portion in your Java class. Yeah, so like I hope you got the whole idea about this super keyword, right? So next we will move what is the method overriding in Java. So basically method overriding is one of the feature of the process which provides a runtime like polymorphism, where the subclass provide a specific implementation of a method that is already defined in a superclass, right? So when a child class provides its own version of a method that is already defined in its parent class. Let's say there is some parent class where we have one method. Now I want a new implementation of that particular method which is already there in the parent class. then we can achieve this by overriding the method. It means we are overriding the method of the parent class into the child class to provide a new logic to it. For example, here you can see we have an animal class, and then we have a sound method in a animal class. So animal class is a parent class here, and we have a sound method. Okay, now we have a dog child class which extends animal. It means dog is a child class and animal is a parent class. And now you see, in the dog class we are providing the new implementation of the sound method. It means we are overriding it. Okay, it means we just overrided, so it means it provided a new logic with the statement dog barks. Now we have a main class, sorry, a main class, in that we main method, and then we are creating now the object of dog class, and then we are storing the object or the reference of this dog class into the animal reference. And if I try to call this with the animal a dot sound, then where it will call, it will call the dog method. Why? Because animal reference stores the dog object, so that's why it will call the dog class method. So that's why a dot sound will call sound method of a dog class, because we are calling the a reference, but a reference contained the reference of dog basically, or the object of dog. So that's why it will call the dog class method, that is dog barks. Okay, and here we get the output as dog bark. And by the way, this animal a equals to new dog, this is actually your like polymorphism, where we are storing the dog object to its parent reference. Okay, so this is upcasting. Basically, we are storing the child object or the reference to the parent reference. Okay, yeah, so this is about overriding, where we provide the new implementation inside a child class for a parent class method, right? Now let's move to the different, yeah, so the purpose of yeah, so what is the purpose of method overriding? So the purpose, you can see that you can customize and extend the behavior of inherited method. So here you can see already we have a method sound for this parent class, but I want a different implementation for my child class. Then this overridden can be used, and we can customize this, of course, right? And second point, to support runtime polymorphism, that is a dynamic method dispatch. So here animal a equals to new dog, so this is a dynamic dispatch, right? And the third point is enables the principle of behavior specialization. So we are providing, we are making sure that and we are putting the behavior logic to the different classes. All right, so there are some rules is there, right, for overriding. Okay, so, and this is very important. So to override any method in a Java class, there are certain rules are there. First, method name, so must be the same in the super class. So you can see here in the example, the method name sound is same like in the animal class, right? And the parameters must match exactly, like number, types, and the order. Okay, everything can match. And also the return type, so return type also be the same. Okay, and what about the access modifier? Must be same or more accessible, it cannot be less. Okay, it means if you are using here something yeah, so you cannot, yeah, I mean that you cannot lose the accessibility, means you cannot go from public to private, but if it is a public, then it should be public, right? Yeah, so you can have more accessible or it can be same. About exceptional handling, should not throw like broader checked exceptions than the superclass method. First, inheritance overridden only possible through inheritance, means inheritance concept should be there to override any method. And final and static methods cannot be overridden. Okay, and constructor cannot be overridden, so means you cannot override final or static methods of a parent class, and also you cannot override the constructor of the parent class, right? So these are some rules you have to remember while doing a method overriding. Now the next question was asked, like, what is the difference between, yeah, yeah. And before going to this, by the way, I'm trying to explain you into a very deep manner so that you will have the idea about all these questions in a deep, and it will be very clear to you. So that's why I'm trying to show side by side the sample code also, by which you will can really means relate. And if you try to explain in this manner, then I believe, because I believe the interviewer will be very happy with you. Okay, so next question is that what is the difference between overloading and overriding? So in overloading, the method name is same, okay, but with a different signature and in the same class. But in overriding, the same method name, signature is also same, but in the child class. So here, so method overloading is done into the same class, but method overriding is done into the different classes. I mean, from parent to child. Inheritance is not required in method overloading. Inheritance is required in method overriding. Polymorphism type. So there are two type of polymorphism. One is compile time polymorphism and one is runtime polymorphism. To achieve compile time polymorphism, you have to use method overloading, and to achieve runtime polymorphism, you have to use method overriding. Okay. Regarding the binding, it is early binding in overloading and late binding in overriding. Parameters. So parameters must be different in loading, and but parameter can be same in method overriding. Now return type. So return type in overloading can be different, but in the overriding it must be same or covariant. Now access modifier can be anything in overloading, okay, but in method overriding it cannot reduce it visibility. It means you cannot go with public to private, right? Or you at least you have to keep it same for both the methods of parent and child class. Use case where to use overloading or where to use overriding. So to perform similar operations with a different input, you can use method overloading, and to modify or provide any specialized customized behavior, then you can go with a overriding. And for overloading, is there any annotation is there? No, there is no annotation. But for overriding, there is one annotation, that is at the rate overriding, override. Okay. Yeah. So this is the some difference between overloading and overriding. I hope you got this. Now the second interview question, and very important interview question: what is the difference between abstract class and interface? And guys, I will suggest you to please stop the video and please note this all this point, because there are lots of point I have added, so you can at least pick 6 to 7 for your reference, and you can explain them in a deep manner, right? Okay, so this is abstract versus interface. So the purpose of abstract class is to provide a base class with a partial implementation, and the purpose of the interface is to define a contract that class must follow. Okay, so for abstract class we use abstract keyword, for interface we use interface keyword. And for abstract class, method can have both abstract and concrete implementation, but in interface can have abstract, default, and static method after Java 8 or with Java 8 plus. Okay, so in abstract class can have instance variable, but interface variable are implicitly like public static final constant. So if you are just declaring any variable in interface, then it will be taken as a public static final constant. Okay, so in abstract class you can have a constructor, in interface you cannot have a constructor. Okay, so in abstract class, inheritance supports single inheritance only, but in interface it can be multiple inheritance is supported by an interface in Java. Okay, regarding access modifier, abstract class can have public, protected, or private, but in interface methods are always public by default. So default implementation is allowed in abstract class, but in interface it is allowed using default method since Java 8 plus. Okay, so in abstract class, static method is allowed. In interface, static method is allowed after Java 8, and before Java 8 it is not allowed. I mean in 7, 6, 5, 1 it is not allowed any static method in interface. So yeah, so abstract class can use final and static. Yes, you can use final and static for a variable in abstract class. And here in interface, all the fields are final and static by default. So when to use abstract class? When you want to share code among close related classes, then go with abstract class. When you want to define a contract for unrelated classes, then go with an interface. Okay, so in abstract class, multiple inheritance is not supported with abstract class, but with an interface, multiple inheritance is supported. Okay, so abstract class supports is a relationship, and interface supports can do capability relationship. Okay, so these are some and very important difference between abstract class and interface. So you can have a note of this, and you can try to provide this point in an interview. Next is why Java platform independent. This is also one of the important and basic interview questions. So Java is a platform independent because of Java Virtual Machine, that is JVM. Java is a platform independent at the source level, means at the bytecode. So once you generate the bytecode, then that bytecode can be used into the different OS, because to run that bytecode, JVM like platform. Yeah. So for that, JVM is a platform dependent, because for Mac there can be means different JVM, and for Windows there can be different JVM. So JVM is a platform dependent, right? But Java is a platform independent, because with Java, when we compile, it creates a bytecode. So that bytecode can be used in any of the JVM or in any of the OS. So that's why it is a Java is a platform independent. But JVM is platform dependent, because for Mac OS, a particular JVM version is allowed. If we try to use the same package of JVM to Windows, then it will not work, because JVM is a platform dependent. Okay, this point you have to keep in mind. Next question was, what is method overloading? So earlier we have discussed method overriding. Now it is method overloading. All right. Yeah. So method overloading in Java is a feature which allows a class to have a more than one method with the same name, as long as their parameter listed are different. So let's say that there is a scenario where you have to do some operation and their methods name are similar, but the difference is going with the parameter list, number of parameter, type of parameter, or the position of parameter of this method. Then you can go with the method overloading. Okay, so it is a type of compile time polymorphism, or also called as static polymorphism. So these are the different terms which you have to remember. Compile time polymorphism will achieved by method overloading, first point. Static polymorphism can be achieved by method overloading, right? So these terms you have to correlate. So yeah, so what are the characteristics? So name should be same. All overloaded method names should be same, but it should have a different parameter. And the parameter wise, if I'll come, then it can be difference in the number, there can be difference in the type, and there can be difference in the sequence or in position where you are putting the parameter. And in compile time, resolved by compiler at a compile time. So this overloading is resolved at the compile time. So overloading return can be different, but does not determine overloading. Okay, so return type of can be different. It means, let's say that I have one method, I have a second overloaded method, so return type can be different. It can be void, it can be integer for different one. Okay, access modifier can also differ. Allowed in same class can only overload method within the same class. Okay, or inherited methods, right? So these are some characteristics of method overloading. Okay, and these are very important, right? Okay, so for example, so I have one example for you already. Yeah, so this is an example or a classic example of method overloading. So here you can see I have one class with the name calculator method overloading demo. And here I have one method to add two integer, and the method name is integer. Sorry, the method name is add, and integer A, integer B. It is like adding the two integers. And again, I have a second method with the same name, add. And then here I have a three parameters, A, B, C. It is adding a plus b plus c. Again, I have a same method with the add name, but with the two parameter and also with the different type. Okay, means double double. Earlier I was with integer integer, now double double. And also you can see the return type is different. So all these three methods are method overloaded because they have the same name but their parameters are different. Now for any of this, if I try to make the same parameter, then we will get a compile time error. See, I change this second method and I try to make the same parameter with the first method, it gives compile time error, right? Yeah. And again, in the main method, we have created the object of this class. And then with that, we are trying to call. So how we are calling, it's totally depend on which parameter and in which sequence you are passing the parameter of this method. So in that manner, it will get called. So in first, we are passing both integer a, b. It is calling method 1. In the second call, in line number 23, we are passing integer abc, so it will call this overloaded method. It will not call the first one, it will call the second one because compiler will match, jvm will match that this is matching with this method, right? In the third call, it is we are passing double double, so that's why it is called this. It will not call the first one, it will call the third one, right? So let me run this. So in this manner, jvm checks, so it checks the parameter basically and runs. Okay, yeah. So this is the what I tried to explain you regarding the method overloading. I hope you get the idea about this method overloading, and also I tried to explain you with a program sample code. Now this is also a classic interview questions, that was the difference between C++ and Java. So mostly these are asked to a fresher level. Okay, and also they want to know that they have some idea apart from Java, they have some idea about a different operating system, I mean the languages also, right? Yeah, so this slide you can read. I feel means, yeah. So here I have tried to added all the details, so you can stop the slide and you can read. So this can be the self explanatory, I believe. Okay, so next we will go move to, yeah. So here I've added this because like one of the interview I mean one of the candidate has shared me that some of have got this question in the interview, so I thought to add this and also explain the answer in this manner. Okay, so next is, what is JIT compiler? So basically JIT stand for Java in time compiler, and it is a part of Java virtual machine that helps to improve the performance of Java program at runtime. So JIT compiler converts the Java bytecode into a native code at a runtime, right? So the code runs faster. So there are two type of JIT compiler. First is method label JIT and second is hotspot JIT. So method label JIT compiles entire method, but hotspot first it's compile and then it change that if there is a frequent call for that particular method, then it's change into some code and keep it with it, so that every time it will not, I mean, interpret or read or compile the same method again and again. Okay, so it makes git more faster. So advantage of git compiler is that faster execution. Why? Because it's use hotspot git. First, optimization like inlining and loop unrolling. Remember, compile machine code, avoid interpretations. Okay, yeah. So, so these are the some points which you have to uh, check. Okay, so basically how the git compiler works, basically when you write a Java code and you compile it, so it changes to a bytecode, so that is a dot class file, right? So it creates a dot class file is generated. Now the JVM starts interpreting the bytecode line by line. Okay, now the git compiler come, so basically it's interprets line by line. So when the JVM sees that a method is used often, then it's what it does, it has a feature of a hotspot git. So it converts the first call of that same method into some code, and then it's used that same code again and again. It does not again read the method again and again, right? So it make it more faster. So git compiler converts that method into a machine code, and next time this machine code runs directly. So it doesn't interpret again the method call again and again. So by this way, it makes it more faster. Okay, yeah. So like I hope I try to provide you some insights how it works behind the hood for the git compiler. Okay, so next question was, what is bytecode in Java? So bytecode is an intermediate code generated by the Java compiler after compiling Java class. Okay, so basically when you write a Java class, you compile it, then you get one dot Java file, right? So that is a bytecode. Now this bytecode you can run into the any OS. Okay, so it can be Mac, it can be like, yeah, so it can be Windows, it can be Linux, because bytecode is platform independent. Because why it is independent, like already I explained you, because it runs into a JVM, right? So for JVM will be same for every OS, right? I mean that in which the bytecode we are running. So that's why the bytecode is platform independent. So yeah, so next question was, what why is bytecode important? Because it makes Java platform independent. Already I explain you, JVM reads bytecode and translate into machine code for your specific OS. Bytecode ensures security and the portability and the efficient. So this is what they want to like listen from the candidate, that why bytecode is important, because it provides security. Because bytecode is a certain machine code which cannot be read by any other like platforms or okay. So this is for security, portability, because you can use this bytecode to run into the different OS also. Okay, and it is also more efficient, right? So that's why bytecode is important. Next is, what is a class in Java? So basically, a class in Java is a blueprint, template, or prototype used to create an object. So it defines the properties and the behavior that's the object created from the class will have. Okay. Okay. So guys, what I will do, I will stop here. Okay, till like 13 I will stop because due to the time constraint. But in the second part, I will try to go with all these questions. So yeah, so like I have a more questions and already added in this slide, and some questions I will more try to add as I will get the input from those candidates. So I'm trying to like connect with those candidates and trying to receive the questions. So whatever questions I got, I have added here in the list. Yeah, so I have lots of questions list here. Okay, so you can see, yeah, so I have a lots of question already added. Yeah, so which we will discuss in the next session. And also I will try to gather more questions, and then I will try to add this into this PPT, and then I will try to explain about all the questions in our next lecture. So guys, thank you. And yeah, so guys, I hope you got like in-depth knowledge about all these interview questions. For yeah, so this will be helpful for a fresher level where the people are trying to connect and trying to get a job and trying to go to a walk-in interview for a Java profile. So thank you and have a nice day. We will see you in the next lecture.